Hi, everybody. My name is Meg Martin. I am the Executive Director for Interfaith Works, and welcome to this month's Lean in Olympia. Lean in Olympia is a live bi-weekly show that airs on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. We feature conversations at the crossroads of humanity, justice, and belief, and highlight important activities and other organizations in our community. If you want to check out past episodes, they are up on our website, interfaith-works.org, as well as our YouTube channel, Interfaith Works Thurston County. And we are really excited that we are going to podcast format as well, so you can find Lean in Olympia on Spotify. So today is a very, 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 very special Lean in Olympia, extremely close to my heart. I've got three folks here today to talk with us about Unity Commons. And I'm super lucky to have all of you, to have known you for as long as I've known you. And I want to just say thanks so much for being here. So we've got Lexi and T, and we've got Doug, and of course, Sadie. So today is just an informal conversation. When we were getting ready for this, I told them that it was just going to be a discussion with me like we've done 1,000 times before. And so we don't really have a strong format or anything, but I think that why I asked you all here today was really just to give you an opportunity to share with the community about your experience moving out of homelessness and into permanent housing here at Unity Commons, and just to share whatever is on your heart and mind that you want the community to know. So I think as we get started, I would love if you could just introduce yourselves and maybe give a little bit of background about how long you were on the streets, when you came to Interfaith Works, that kind of thing. So you all want to start?
So we came here, my name is T, and we came here, my wife and I, we weren't married yet, we were only engaged in 2015, the winter of 2015, no less. And it was really a crazy, crazy month to be moving because we were trying to get closer here, to be closer to my wife's family so we could the whole purpose was to get married here. Well, things kind of fell through, but we still did end up getting married. My wife got a job in Tacoma, so we were gone for about 4 months, but we came to Interfaith, I would say, we moved back in April of 2016, and we lived underneath the bridge for a while. We were the first, there's a thing here, and unfortunately, for a lot of us homeless people, we lived underneath the bridge, 4th and 5th Avenue Bridge for a while. It's a whole different concept than it has become and has ended as of recently, but we were there for a while, and when we left, we were actually approached by Meg because she had seen us. We would go in and they would have outreach to where you could get clothes and get food and get warm for a while and even bid for a room for the night. We ended up getting approached by her and some other staff, and before we knew it, we were made the list and we moved inside Interfaith. So there you go.
My name is Alexis, and as she was saying, and we spent 4 years at Interfaith, 3 years at Interfaith?
Yeah, almost.
Roughly,
3.
and...
In one of the couple's beds?
Yeah, in one of the couple's beds, in the couple's room.
Yes.
And, which was it was great because it was the much smaller room. So it was, for my anxiety and everything that, being in a new place, it was, how do I say that? Nourishing maybe to my anxiety, like to not be around so many people and...
There's more of a community in there.
Yeah. And it didn't take long to meet people in there at all. And we had to leave during the day, which wasn't bad, unless it was raining. And then we had all of our some of our belongings on us and whatnot. And yeah.
My name's Doug Schultz, and this is Sadie.
You might need to get that mic up a little bit more.
My name's Doug Schultz, and this is Sadie. And I've been with Meg now for probably 6 years. And off and on. I don't know where to start. I came there by myself the first time. It was just me and just me, and then I left and went out to Wyoming and brought my wife back here with me. We've been together for 26 years. And we lost her 4 years ago, and then I kind of went off on a wayward way, and it's been a long, cold, dark tunnel I've been in for a while. Finally got to see the light.
Yeah.
Anyway, emotional with it.
We probably all will. It's okay.
This has been a godsend to me. It really has. And getting out of survival mode, that's what the hardest part so important to me is this actually happening? Is this actually happening? Or is that light at the end of the tunnel just keep putting out further and further? Every time you get almost to the light, it goes out further. It seems like it just keep going out further, and it was never actually going to happen, and it did. And now we got our own little studio and making a home for ourselves, and I appreciate you so much that it's amazing that what your faith has done for me alone, much less everybody else. I mean, you guys have always been there for me when I needed you the most. So I want to appreciate that. I want to thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome. And I think that something that is coming up for me right now while you all are sharing is that the ability to be flexible of meeting you all wherever you've been over the years, I think has been a really important part of it, because I feel like we're not like normal, right? And so it's like in a normal place, you might have come, stayed for a little while, left, not come back. But because you all were in your van for the last
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, we did 2 years.
But we still were able to stay connected, even though you weren't staying at the shelter. And when you've gone on your wayward way, we've still stayed connected. And I think that is a really important piece of this.
I want to say something really quick. I think the reason why we didn't, move away like some people thought we were, because now we had our van, is because for me at least, it felt usual, like it's something I knew. Plus, as much as we bicker or whatnot, have our disagreements, it felt like family.
Yeah, exactly right there.
So I'm not gonna lie, we tried to venture away and try to start new things, and just trying to literally make ourselves stay over here and just meet new people, or try to find new resources,
Yeah.
But it was really hard in a way. It was really hard
Initially it was. We would drift so many blocks. It went from so many blocks. Plus, it was a bad timing because we got our van in July of 2018, and that was in the heart of COVID had just happened. We couldn't go to state parks or because we had it's called a discovery pass to go to any Washington state or park or whatever. Couldn't go anywhere because they were all closed because COVID was rampant.
Yeah.
You couldn't. I mean, getting into even into a motel at that time was hard enough, and with all these new rules, and it made it really hard. And so we knew that no matter what, we couldn't have picked the best or worst time to try and move out. I mean, not even move out, but just to get the van, because we did want to be able to do some experiences, because we knew about the Unity Commons coming up, and a year went by so fast, and then it was time. We had to have certain things done, and I really loved being close to interfaith at times, because it felt safe. Because even though we would get into it very much so with one of the managers, always, at least when things got really bad, like Doug said, you guys were always there. Even if it was just to know that our van was safe, we were going to be safe in it, just to be there overnight, especially after our van and us, we got shot up. That was terrible. And we weren't going to lose it. We weren't going to lose you guys, and we weren't going to go too far. And then, we were, even though we were not in the shelter, I mean, we still talked to people, and we still hung out with people, and we still kept those ties, because this is the closest family I've had since I was a little kid.
And we got to eat.
Yes. Yes. Yes, so we got to eat. And we still needed blankets. Yeah. Yeah.
Big thing for me, just getting out of the moisture in the air, because I have bad problems with my lungs and asthma. So at night when I was tenting it out in the tents, it's tough on me. And then COVID stuck, and I got sick, and I still haven't really got over that yet. So I mean, I got it back in November, and it's really did a number on my throat because I coughed so hard. I tore something in my throat. That's why I talk like I got a hoarse, really hoarse voice. But this has helped me so much get healthy again. Try to get healthy again. I mean, not being out in the elements all the time. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. I mean, it really is. Just being outside. I mean, you're never getting away from the outside. Never having a nice warm place to hang out. And then Meg, she's my hero.
I promise I didn't
Really
pick
is my
people
hero.
to come tell me nice things about myself today.
But
No, you have no idea. Like when
Oh my God.
she's definitely. I have to say, Meg, you are, other than Allison, you are the only, and my wife, of course. When you say something, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to happen. I believe that it's possible, and it's more than possible.
I remember seeing the plans for this place when she first got the plans for it. And I was like, that'd be cool. But that was just another one of those lights into the tunnel, and I didn't ever think it was going to happen there for a while because it's pretty down. Still, I'm kind of pull through.
Yeah, I
This
think
helps me get my head together.
I think there's something. I'm grateful that you picked. I feel like us three because we've known Doug and Minnie. Like they were their first, one of our first closest couples. Because we said, the couples dorm was very much like a family. Like we all hung out. We all. I mean, they.
That's
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
She
Minnie.
saved me.
I remember
Yeah.
Minnie saying that. She goes, I said, "Are you like?" Because there was something that happened, and I think Sadie followed you out. She ran her little legs off to go catch up with you, and she's all, Sadie, stay," and she couldn't keep her back. And she goes, "That dog." She goes, "You know what, you guys?" She goes, "Sadie Mae has really she came into our life, and I guess you wanted a small dog, and so you just randomly she just fell in your lap."
She fell in love with us.
She says she is just wonderful for Doug. She's
Yeah. Minnie always would say that. She's like, "Man," I said, "Are you ever jealous of the dog?" And she's like, "No, I'm grateful."
sometimes you can see Sadie up on Doug's shoulders.
Yeah, she's on my
around
shoulders
town.
all the time. She's kind of like a fixture downtown. Everybody knows Sadie, but they don't know that that guy's carrying her around. So
Right.
she is kind of a.
Okay, so
That's him.
as good as it feels to hear so much nice stuff, I also think that it's really important for the community to understand that no matter how hard we try to make the shelter a safe and calm and feel like home place, and I think it's fair to say that we try really hard to do that, but it isn't always. It's really hard. It's like no matter what, it is so difficult to live in a shelter. And so I guess I'm wondering if you all would talk a little bit about like what have been some of the biggest like shifts that you've noticed since you've been in your own apartment that
my stress.
okay.
My stress is gone. I'm able to actually have a place to collect myself, to step back for a second and just the stress. The stress was a lot on. I think it took a toll on all of us, but just to know that like I can. Yeah, I'll stop right there.
Yeah.
I think is that being able to stay and be here 24/7. I mean, not have to get up at 10 o'clock, be out by 10 o'clock in that big rush and the stress of being out, even if it's pouring rain, excuse my language, but that was stressful. I mean, it really was because if you're sick, it didn't matter. You had to get out. And that was just the rules, and they didn't make those. But then you guys let us adjust a little bit when we came here before we moved up here. Those couple of months that we were down below, in the shelter down below, and we got to stay, and we didn't have to go anywhere in the mornings, we could actually stay, and it helped me a lot. I mean, as far as, I like the idea that I didn't have to go anywhere. If I didn't want to, I could just stay right here and be warm, and, because it was right during the winter, right in January, February, it was cold out. And so those couple hours, we were only out a couple hours every day, but those 2 hours really took a toll, I'm just grateful that I got this place. I don't know what else to say other than just I want to just do a happy dance every day. I really
I'd have
do.
to say, like, for me, it's I had to learn how to slow down because I was so used to always having to think about, like my wife says, 5 steps ahead. Just because you never know, and I just to get down from that ledge and know that you could just not have to think about everything that happens during your day and not have to be so, like my wife said, stressed. For me, it was just being able to take a breath and know that, like, we came from the ground up. Like, we started sleeping on pavement, and then we lived underneath a bridge in a tent, and then we got into the shelter, and then we got a van, which was great. It was mobile. We got to, go to explore other places, and then we get.
This is my first apartment.
Yeah, this is technically.
Ever.
This is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is my first.
This is not my first apartment, but it is my first apartment with my wife. Having a wife, and something that I, for the first time, have had with just my wife, because I've gone into like many apartments, being like on the lease but not being the head person, or had been the head person but had roommates and stuff like that. So this is our first apartment all by ourselves, just the two of us.
Yeah.
I think one of the big
And
things
Bella.
is I'm able to cook for myself.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm really picky as far as eating goes, so it's really a lot of stuff that was delivered that I couldn't eat, And I thank God that, that they brought it into the shelter, but it was just not for me,
Yeah.
So now that I can cook for myself, I'm just like in hog heaven. I like making pies and all
Yep.
sorts of, I just love it.
I got pies for my birthday.
Go to the store and buying food for me to bring home to my house, and when I open the fridge, it's still there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really a big thing for me. I love to cook and I do it all the time.
Me too.
Well, and I think that's one of the reason that we designed this building with Lehigh the way that we did was because so many folks that we have seen in the shelter sometimes feel really nervous or worried about moving into housing because of leaving kind of the community of the shelter. And so we knew that since so many people were moving from the shelter here, that it would be really important that we were still all kind of together, even though you have your own space, your door that closes, that security where, before we started recording, you were talking about not like the shift of not having to take all your stuff with you every day and remembering that you can just take what you need instead of having to
Take everything.
haul everything. Yeah.
Because you're afraid it's going to lose them.
And I think that those are the kind of things that people who've been housed for a long time, like, really take for granted and don't realize how much of an impact it has on just like people's stability and mental health are those little things.
It's just weight I don't have to pack around.
Right. And physically, people don't realize, you really, really don't see, and I don't know how to say this.
You can be real. You can be real.
But you don't really see a lot of like overweight homeless people. Houseless people, individuals. Because a lot of people think that we are just a bunch of gunner punks, and we're not. Like, they're a large majority of us, even though we might live somewhere that unfortunately other people is unhealthy, and we would not live like that. A lot of us do a lot more picking up and like helping out the community. Just because when we moved into Unity Commons, I was grateful. You know what my wife did? Took all of the blankets that we had in the van, took them to an industrial wash, had them washed, dry, and to the top, like brand new all over again, and we donated them out to the jungle because we had friends and people that we cared about there.
And we were just blessed.
We felt extremely blessed. If it wasn't absolutely necessary, we had propane tanks. Anything that we could give back was part of what, for me, my mental health was. Like, knowing that we weren't just going to disappear, and we still had the van, and even though we were living here when we first moved in, we did still keep doing outreach to our friends, and not just our friends, but people out there. Anybody who would come by, and we would be out, and they asked us if we had a blanket or whatever food. It felt great to be able to have food, but it was also grateful to be able to give back and continue doing and being the people that
I want to say something really quick. That's why I chose the jungle to take blankets to, was because in the van, like, we had the same people usually coming up and asking for, spare items or whatnot. And usually we if we had it, we'd give it. But when I was thinking about where I wanted to get rid of the blankets to, I wanted to do
Not even get rid of, but just
just to grace them forward. I wanted to take them somewhere where we didn't normally be, like we've never really been, and I wanted to give them to people who, I love giving my friends things, but also there's other places and areas where people need, the help and whatnot. So that's why I chose the jungle, we didn't really know anybody out there. So it felt good to give it to somebody who, it felt good to give it to somebody who we didn't really know, but like that we were also helping, so.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I have a sense of guilt too, because I now have a place to live, and a lot of my people that I still are out there, and I want to help them out, but if I do that, I'm not helping myself. I have to learn to help myself out first,
Right.
And then help everybody else out. Because I have a bad habit of, restraining helping everybody else out, and then leaving me and Sadie short.
Right.
And so I got to stop. I got to learn to stop to make sure that we're okay first, and then. And then have the resources of when we were living in the shelter, because we had a clothes closet, we could go and get coats and all such, and we could bring them out to our friends. All right, well now we don't have that. I don't have. I've already given everything I can give away now. I mean, I've given all. I have my own coats now, a couple of coats that I have. I used to be able to get coats and just hand them out. Blankets, clothes, you name it. But now I can't do that, so I have a kind of a sense of guilt when somebody asks me, for a blanket or a coat. I have to go, no, I don't have one. I can't get one. You know? So that's tough to deal with right there. I mean, I'm learning to deal with just taking care of me and her, me and the dog.
Well, and I think that it's also knowing that knowing that you're a worthy enough person to have your basic needs met. You know, like you all are people who have given back to other people so much, and it is really cool to see that you're able to be in this place where you can then figure out what a new relationship to that looks like moving forward.
Yeah, being able to just. But I do feel guilty about. I mean, I see other people out there that think, well, maybe they're more deserving than I am to have this place and not just too much. But then I think about myself. I'm 60 years old now, and I don't need to be out there. I don't.
Well, hold on to that for when construction starts on the next 65 apartments and you're really pissed off that construction is happening here. Hold on to that memory of wanting people to come inside. Yeah.
In saying what Doug was saying, like it's true. When we finally got in, and before we saw you, I sent you a text just thanking you, and you said we deserve it. It felt really weird. Like, I'm not a person that thinks, I don't think that way. And it was just really, I'd rather give than to get things back. I don't know. It was really hard to take that, I think, for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what makes us so special as opposed to other people? But I get like,
time in. That's the way I look at it. We put our time in.
Yeah.
And some other people haven't put their time in.
right.
I never even thought I'd be seeing this. Seriously.
I didn't think I would see it either. I mean,
And then, to be honest, I'm grateful that we still have Doug, because we are very, and I think it's culturally too, we are very close to our elders. And so our best friends were always the people in the dorm who happened to be elders, and we've lost a lot of them. A lot. I mean, I have to give. And I've learned from them. I've learned from Doug, and he was one. He had a wife, and we lost Adina and Johnny, who were also married couple, and I've learned from them. I learned that I don't want to have to be Doug at 60 and being out here. That's not fair and equitable. That we all deserve to have housing, and that's something like I learned some great things from the elders that have passed, and the biggest thing for them is that we were able to get housing one day, and that we wouldn't have to be doing what they do and then what they did. And I'm grateful that Doug is still here because you know what? He does deserve to be here just as much as I know that my wife and I deserve to be here.
We were down to the First Christian Church down there. My car used to be like the shelter overflow.
Right.
Yeah, don't remind me.
And I walk out to my car sometimes in the morning, there'd be 6 people sleeping in my car.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it at all. It's got them out of the cold and, you know, out of the moisture in here. That's what's the big thing here, the moisture in here every night.
Yeah.
It'll get you. It'll get you. And just getting them a couple people. And I get mad sometimes. I come out there at 7 in the morning, they're all still,
Yeah.
you know. And I started just raising hell. I was like, you know, but then, you know, it was my turn to be in the car. But yeah, and I miss a lot. There's been a lot of people that passed. I miss a lot.
You know, one thing I think I learned from our elders was the rage. Like, you didn't always have to explode so quickly, and you know, if you did, it didn't have to be so everybody could hear you. You know, it just, even though people want to be heard, you know, whether they're having a good time or, you know, they're just going through it.
Yeah.
I think that really, you know, because I'd have a lot of our elders, especially Dina. She's like, "Come on, what are you doing?" She was like, "Do you have to be so loud right now?" And I'm like,
Come on. Let's go out and have a cigarette. You'll be fine after you have a cigarette.
It was just, I think that really helped with them,
And
you know.
I think too, having had a lot of elders that we really appreciated having, and you know, at least we got to be there for Doug too. Like when he lost Minnie, I mean, I'm grateful that we could be, that I have my wife, and you know, it just makes me know that, you know, even though Minnie's not here, we think about her all the time. I mean,
She was like my best friend.
yeah, and I mean, and I'm grateful that, you know, I feel like there's a synchronicity between Minnie and Doug, and you know, Sadie and Lexi and I and Bella. Like there's something that, because I don't know, there's a lot of
right next to each other for a while.
Yeah, for a long while.
The partitions for sure, you know,
right.
separated us.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, and I'm grateful that we could be there when he was going through it really hard, and just, you know, just a hug. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I see Doug and we weren't even in the shelter, or he was in the shelter and we were already in a van, and I just give him a hug because, you know, I'm grateful that I have what I have, and I miss Minnie a lot.
Do you remember when she was in the hospital and so many people were visiting her? And they
Yeah.
said
But thank God COVID wasn't happening.
Yeah, that was
COVID,
yeah.
That was pretty special, and I made sure that anybody made the trek to the hospital to see her, they got to see her, you know, and it was cool. It really was heartwarming for me to know that there was that many people.
Well, and to be honest, the nurses, I don't know if I ever told you this, but the nurses, multiple of them were like, I just have really questioned my own bias during Minnie's passing, because they were like, they literally were like, we just thought she was like a homeless person that came in.
Yeah.
And then we saw everybody come visit her day after day after day after day, and realized what a big part of the community she was. And I was like, well, I'm glad that you've challenged that bias in yourself, but I think that it's like really so much more widespread that people don't understand the level of like community and care for each other, even when it's hard and people fight and it isn't easy. And
We
people,
haven't always got along. I mean,
No.
we used to yell at each other that partition.
Sometimes that partition wouldn't make it very far.
The next day comes around and we were over it. You know, you just get over things like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather be my friend than or be mad at them over whatever we were arguing about that day. You know,
Right.
It didn't really matter to me. You know, I need friends. I need people, and because me and Sadie are most definitely social butterflies. I like to interact with people, and sometimes there's times where I just don't want to be. You know, and I hope they understand that. You know.
And we appreciate that. We understand it too.
Yeah.
It's been a tough road. It's been 4 years now. She said she'd be gone, and I'm starting to finally realized that she's gone. You know, hope keep, you know, there was a long couple of years there. I kept thinking she's going to come around the corner at any time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good, and I think, you know, when you were like, oh, I get to cook for myself in the apartment, I think about you all would have been cooking together.
Yeah, we cooked.
She ran a kitchen and was always like, I'm gonna take over the food someday.
Cook for a shelter, you know.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Like we, you know, we did spend a lot of time with Doug and Minnie, and a lot of elders. I mean, all the elders that we had that were couples or that were in the couples dorm are all gone except Doug and so I mean, I'm grateful because now we can actually see Doug, and Doug can come over and, you know, he can have coffee, although we don't have a coffee maker right now, so.
I do.
Yeah.
You'll go there.
Yeah, we bought me a toaster and a coffee pot.
But I mean, it's nice to know that we have friends, and we have a lot of friends in here that we can share this and be like, you know what, we've both had vehicles, and we've, you know, told people around and let people be in our van, although not to the extent that Doug did. His is more like a motel, and ours is more like a, you know, a bed and breakfast, but you had to leave at nighttime. But now we can actually enjoy each other and just, like, you know, hang out and just, you know, Bella. I wish that Bella could be here because she's a huge part of Lexi and I's life. She is the biggest lap puppy, but she's like 20 times bigger than
Sadie Mae.
She's a pit bull mastiff, so she's But they get along so well. It's just that Bella doesn't realize she's a big. She's like a King Kong. She's, you know,
Sadie Mae.
and Sadie's, you know, like a little toy car. Like she doesn't know, and so that's her only thing. But
she doesn't get skittish around her either.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't try to eat her, and, you know, Sadie tells her where it's at. But we actually, this is like a time now where the people that were important, that are important to us, that we've, you know, shared, you know, small living spaces with, to sharing like tent space and ground space, and we actually get to be in here and have our own spaces and know that we can invite them over, and, like, you know, we can just hang out and just know that, you know, your things are going to be fine and my things are going to be fine, and we can, like, have some food together, and, oh, you like to cook this? Because, you know, I'm down to, you know, I love to cook, so, you know, being able to have that.
I want to say something about that because, like, I'm grateful that we have a spot to leave our things, but because having a support animal, I can't leave. I can't really go outside my apartment without my pup, because then I'm like, we haven't even made it all the way off the premises yet, and I'm like, babe, we should go back and get her. Because, like, I got a million and one things running through my mind. Like, it, you know, yes, she's safe because she's behind that door, and I know no one can get into her, but and she's not gonna be running away or running off or whatever, but anything can happen. And that her being so important to us and just our pride, like
Our pride and joy.
Yeah.
I just, what if a fire were to happen or something, and, you know, I'm never really, we're never really gone a long time if she does have to stay in the apartment, but it's just the fact that, like, anything can happen to the building, you know, and then when I'd feel so horrible.
I've seen places where they actually have a sticker on the door that says that an animal lives here. For the firemen, if there happens something like that to happen, they just have a sticker right there on the door that states
That's a good idea. We could probably do something like that.
Live animals here.
Yeah, I don't know if we had talked about it before, but I felt like it might have come up during Lehigh, maybe.
No, I saw the firemen downstairs when they were here with somebody, and I had made a comment, like, saying, because on the hotel doors it says a bird, or it says a dog, cats, and then there's a line for you to put, you know, how many of them, and then it says other animals in case, like, bird or something. So I thought that was a really great idea, because I just
Yeah.
It's true. And plus, when you're used to having, I mean, Bella, she's used to being with us all the time too. So literally, even when we're in the apartment, we can't even go to the bathroom or take a bath, because she'll just be right there, just sticking her nose and, like, or, like, she sits right by the. I mean, we have a 1-bedroom, so we have a lot of floor space, but there's not, like, a block off for the kitchen. So she'll just come and she'll stand right next to me, and just, if I'm cooking a steak, she's just like, I'm first.
I think I'm more happy for Sadie to get a place to live than me. And I really am, because she deserves it more than I do.
Yeah, I definitely say I agree.
Because I have a friend that takes her for 2-3 days at a time, you know, and it was kind of nice that I get a break.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to constant worry about little shaver.
Yeah.
How did you get like that? How did you what did you like? How did you get to that point where you can like?
Separate
Because
myself?
I mean, obviously you trust that person, but I mean it's not the trust that I'm so worried about with the person. I mean, obviously I want my dog not to be someone where I don't trust with them, but how do you like is it going through your mind 1,000 times in one like? What is she doing, or are they?
No, but after about the second day, yeah, I kind of wonder, you know, but she gets that way too. And that's what Denise says. She says after the first day, she's all right. So about the third day, she's ready to go home. She's looking down the road, wondering where am I at, and how come I haven't come got her yet, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's sometimes it's nice not to have to worry about. And she's in a nice house. I mean, she's in a nice house, sitting on a couch, looking out a window. Yeah. You know, that's her like her hideaway her secret hideaway over in Lacey. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She don't.
Well, I think that's like something that I'm thinking about when you all are talking is just how often, especially in like homeless services and stuff, it's always like so much focus on the like apartment itself or the house itself or the whatever. And I used to go to Lincoln Elementary all the time and talk about like every year I'd go into a couple classes and I'd talk to kids about the work that we were doing. And I'd always start by asking the kids in the class, like, tell me what home means to you. And like very rarely ever was it like the actual house. It was like, oh, the safety, knowing that my parents are there, my pet is there, my teddy bear is there, my favorite blanket, like whatever it is. And I think that in our world, like having a place, like an actual physical place for people to go is obviously so important. But I just feel like everything you've talked about today is really more about making a home for yourselves and like how big of how many things have to come together in order for that to really feel like home.
Well, I couldn't do it financially by myself. I really could not do it. I would be out there the rest of my life if I had to do it with my money I do get and where I do my money to do have, because things have gotten so out of whack as far as the rents go, and I don't understand why. I mean, everybody seems to think they got to raise their rents $300 every year. You know, I mean, just especially these last couple of years.
I know COVID just.
It's crazy how much they want for, you know, and if you're going to pay your rent, well, if I pay my rent, then I'm not going to have nothing to eat. You know, how am I going to pay my electric bill? How am I going to even save up for a car or even pay my insurance for when I do get a car? I mean, there's a lot of, you know, I just couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it unless you know.
And you're on a fixed income. And so that, you know, is set at the federal level, and it's not at all in line with how much.
Well, I can take what money I do make, and I could go out to places like somewhere in like Wyoming or Oklahoma or someplace where the federal minimum wage, and they're still the minimum wages is out there only $7.25 an hour.
Yeah.
But you also have rents out there that are $300 and $400 a month instead of $1,200 where it starts here. You know, for one bedroom place, it's $1,200. You know, I don't even get that much. You know, so. If it wasn't for you guys, I mean, some helping hands. I mean, I need a helping hand, and I appreciate the helping hand. I really do. I mean, just because we're always in survival mode out here.
Right.
I mean, you really are. You live from day to day. You wonder what do you need to get done today, and how am I going to survive today? And then tomorrow you wake up and you worry about that day. You know, you can't plan
really
for
future.
nothing. You can't plan for nothing.
I agree.
It's really tough out there, and to be able to sit back and go. Wow, this is actually I'm still not used to that.
Yeah.
Right. I go for walks with Bella every day, and I still find myself not breathing. Like I'm still like, I don't know what it is. Like I feel like I have less air when I take Bella for a nice walk than when I'm just in the apartment.
Yeah.
And I get into these like when we first we still had the van and we still had things we wanted to get for the apartment and things like that. So, I mean, when we first moved in, we were here, but we weren't here because we were still we were acquiring things, and, you know, we still had food to go get, and it was just.
And I'm a busybody. I have to keep moving.
Yeah. And
she would tell me all the time, babe, I didn't get the apartment to go out.
I know, I was like,
I'm here to stay.
We didn't use the van this much when we had it, when we were in it, living in it. I said, babe, you can go wherever you want. I'm staying right here. You can take the puppy if you want to, but I am not moving. I'm sitting on this couch and I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to play my YouTube on the TV and do whatever. I don't care. But I'm sitting on this couch and I'm going to take a shower maybe. I don't know. But yeah, the constant survival and knowing, like, I mean, I'm grateful for the Unity Commons because we can live here and because we're both on a fixed income. And just because we are a couple, it's even more difficult, I think, than being a single, because I mean, just because there might be 2 sets of money coming in, that's 3 things we have to you know, divide it amongst. We have Bella, and then both of us, and then we have all utilities and all the things that we still have to pay for, which is great. I love being responsible in that because it leads a lot less for, like, you know, I would love to go to the weed store and buy, you know, $80 worth of weed, but I can't.
Yeah.
So and prioritizing and knowing that, you know, there are things that we need to have before we get to have the fun things, but I'd rather have all the necessities of having this beautiful place and knowing that, you know, I'd rather spend money on cleaning supplies and toilet paper and knowing that we have to do those things now. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to get things from...
It feels good.
Yeah. It feels good. It feels great. And knowing that, like, now we don't have... I mean, when we were out there and we had to ask the community for things, now we know that those things... We don't have to ask. And there are a lot of things that are here at Unity Commons that get provided to us by the community. So that way, you know, it leaves that much more out there for the community who's still houseless to be able to acquire. And... You know, the more of us that get into places like this, and I can't wait till she starts doing the next set of units, because that means that there's that many more people who don't have to be out there and who it's possible. It's possible to have a home.
I find it hard to learn how to sleep.
Right.
I mean, it really is hard for me to sleep sometimes. I mean, just because you're out there, you always got to have your one eye open, you know. And now that I'm in here, I still have my one eye open, you know, and getting used to, you know, just being able to go to sleep I don't sleep more than about 4 hours a time anymore.
Yeah, we're the same way.
I find myself pushing because, like, being out in the van and sometimes in the shelter, but I found myself, like, pushing myself to go to the, like, all the way to the very end, to where I literally I start falling asleep at tables or something because I just can't go to sleep. Yeah, and being so tired and being up for, you know, multiple days and whatnot, just because you're so, like, I just couldn't go to sleep, you know.
Anxiety.
And it really started in the van a lot. But I find myself doing that sometimes still, and T will be like, "Babe, I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed." I'm like, I can't go. You know, my brain won't shut down yet. I'm not even close to there, and so I've found that trying to, like, drink tea or something, you know, something to make me, and sometimes coffee will do it, depends, but just to make myself tired or something, so that way I can go to sleep at a normal time, or, you know, what they say is a normal time, and then to get up and be refreshed. It feels weird sometimes.
And go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so you all have been in your apartment for just about a month, right?
No,
like 2.
No, we got here January 31st.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And you've been in
About 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So I think also just, like, how it takes time to, like, make that adjustment. And we've even had some folks who can't sleep in the bed and are setting up, like, a bedroll in their room near the window, and just really thinking about, like, how you have to get into a completely different mindset, and that takes a lot of time. And if we don't have the support of, like, each other and of trusted service providers, like, how hard that would be for somebody who's trying to make that adjustment, you know, on their own.
You saying that is perfect, because I cannot wait for, like, the first kid that, like, if I start watching kids or something, or trying to help out, you know, not that we have a lot of friends that have kids, but, you know, I've been waiting for that moment to where a kid can come over and I can make it like a tent in the inside of the room, just to make them a fun little house to play in or something. I'm like,
That's awesome.
I swore when I got a house I would never go camping ever again. ever. I'm not gonna go out and play homeless for a weekend, right?
See, but if you do one in your house, at least you're not going outside.
Never going camping again.
I know. I was like, babe,
You
I
like
said,
start picketing REI. You're like,
don't do it. Unfortunately, I remember when camping was actually a term used for when you went camping out into the woods.
Yeah.
Not when you had a blanket and you were at the park keeping your dog warm or whatever. I was like, when that word camping, the first time a trooper ever said you're camping, I was like, are you out of your mind? Who chose that word? Okay? That's the worst word on the planet. We're not camping. Do you think I want to be in this public park right now with all my shit spread all over? No, I know. Camping to me is I get a fire, I get a lake somewhere, I get redwoods, some trees, and I'm by myself. I'm getting no cops, none of you guys.
Yeah.
I don't have Mr. Guy over there. I don't doing whatever he's doing. No, that's not camping to me. That's because I would love to have kept Vandy to go camping true blue, but Doug is right. Like I
think that is such an important point, because I feel like when people don't know people who are sleeping out, sleeping rough, however you want to say it, like I think that there are so many assumptions that get made that it is people's choice, that they do want to be there, that they, and I think that, for shelter, a lot of times people are like, well, if there's shelter beds, why won't people just go to the shelter? And I'm like, well, would you want to live in a shelter? Like, let's be real. Would you give up your house, your space, your whatever to go sleep next to a bunch of strangers? And maybe there would be relationships that build that are long lasting and awesome, but there's a lot of relationships that were not awesome for you all in the shelter, that weren't feeling safe, that didn't work out, that, and so I think that that is such a deep-seated belief that often makes it hard for homeless services to get going or to get investment in a community, is this idea that people are somehow choosing this life. And it just seems like a major misconception to me.
Yeah. Being in foster care, aging out of foster care, it wasn't a big difference, but the only fact was that now I'm permanently outside. There was no being able to go back to my foster home or anything like that. So it's not that it made it easier, but it wasn't a big difference, I guess. And that's why I didn't feel like anything was really wrong with it until the situations with being in the van and us getting shot at for no reason, or some guy coming through our back doors and shaking me awake and asking me if I'm homeless, and it felt such a dream that I was like, no, I can't be. And then when I got up and the quarter made it real, because the quarter was still right here. Yeah. And I was just like, what the heck? So it was things like that, or almost getting trampled on when we were waiting. We were waiting to get into a shoe store, but two guys started fighting, and I was totally sleeping. T was barely asleep, and if it wasn't for her to know that there was a fight breaking out right above us, then we could have possibly been trampled on. So it's just after 14 years, this is a big thing, because I never thought I would see it. Not because I didn't want it or anything, or because I didn't believe you, but because it's just a big life changer.
Well, you told me that day, or I saw you all that morning. This was something really meaningful to me when I got to see your apartment for the first time, and you were like, I told you, just, I don't have exactly the answer, but just hold on, I'm working on something, and that you all believed me. Yeah. Which is, I was like, after I said that, I was like, I better figure something out here. Yeah.
You're golden. You have never let me down ever, not one time. So, I just appreciate you so much.
Yeah, I definitely think. Oh wait, we were talking about something.
That's why, you have faith in us.
Yeah. And you know what? We didn't mind stalking, because where there was only so many places we could go where the van was safe, and if that meant that we were parking close to the executive offices of Interfaith, and we saw Oscar and Hell and Meg whenever we possibly could, to let them know that we're still here, and even if we couldn't be around the shelter or chose not to be around the shelter, just to give ourselves we had the van, and but I would have done whatever we needed to do because I knew that we could make it happen. I knew that it was, as long as we kept doing all the things positive and just kept, it didn't take us very long to get all of our IDs and birth certificates and all the things that we needed to have. It was, it was going to happen.
It felt good to know that you've always, I think, have had a good team with you. Mm-hmm. But it was way different when one day we were sitting in our van, not even in an area that we normally go to. And here's Oscar like banging on our window, like, I found you guys. Yeah. You guys need to come with me. Or tomorrow, I'll be ready.
Tomorrow I'll be here at 2:00. And I was like,
that right there, I was like, wow, that's when it really started to actually hit me, is because now we're going to be going to sign some papers for the apartment. And not only that, but this person that works for Meg and that wants to see us also do good and be inside is literally finding us. Like they didn't forget about us. Yes. You guys didn't forget about us. You guys didn't, you couldn't find us. So then gave the spot up to somebody else. Like that meant a lot right there.
Yeah. When Oscar came looking for us, and even Hal, and even when we saw you, you really did care and know that like this was something that we could make happen. As long as we were waiting, as long as we just gave you the time, and we didn't give up, and we were patient, and it's really hard to be patient sometimes.
I know for about a year I drove by here on the bus watching this thing get built and thinking, it's actually getting built. It seemed like it was taking forever, just because it takes forever sometimes. But I knew, and then when finally it all happened, and we started moving over here, and then we moved down to the shelter, which is a whole new thing too, because we had showers. We had showers. We had everything we want right there. We didn't have to leave. We had all the food we could possibly get, and then move up here. And there's a lot of people that are starving up here because they didn't, plan for, I gotta feed myself now.
Yeah.
So, but that's the first thing I did. I went and bought $300 worth of groceries.
Yeah. And you and Charisse were the first two that walked through the building with me.
With you.
Because we were going to do that, and we've lost Charisse also since that, and there's just been so much.
That shocked me. I didn't think she was I didn't think she was sick like that.
I know we've already lost 2 people.
Yeah.
Rodney.
Yep. And I think that's something that the community doesn't quite understand either. It's just like how many people we lose all the time, but yet we're still here. We're still honoring each other's lives. And I think that this building is like, this building has kind of like always been the idea, like even from the People's House days before we even opened at First Christian Church, it was always like there'd be housing and there'd be gardens. We've got these little garden beds out here that we're going to do, and there would be like space for music and people to like live full lives and have the shelter and community and showers and laundry and all of that. And it took, we started working on opening the shelter in 2012. 2022, like took a long time, but I think that just like had it not been for you all and the relationships that we've built, like it would have been hard to stay the course, but there's like, we got to stay the course.
You guys had something to work for, and we had something to work for. That's.
I believed in you, and we still like anytime that we actually it's possible for people to get housing, because there is one person in particular, a few people that I said you should just try and do whatever. Just here, this is the only number I have for you, which I wouldn't give your number out, Meg, but it was yes, it was the shelter number, and I said, or if we could either bring them to somebody that we knew that knew about it, because we already have one friend. His name is Sean, and he's a volunteer at the food bank. I just kind of mentioned it to him. And, and powers that be and his people that are trying to help him with housing just managed to be able to make something happen there too. And, I feel like we're just going to keep spreading the word, because it's possible, whether,
There's a whole nother building going up.
I know there's a whole nother building, and we have friends right now that I would never think would be wanting to go into a shelter, who are willing to do it, to try, even if, for the longest time, a lot of people have been out here for a long time, and it's not because they all chose to be out here. It's because for whatever reason they are still out here, whether they don't have the money or they make very little money and it's not enough to get a place. But it's not right now. It's not always a choice for who wants to be out here. I mean,
or if it is, it's a choice between many hard choices.
Yes, exactly. And it's and learning how to even the transition from being outside to being in the shelter. I mean, we'd never even seen the inside of this new shelter, and I mean, I know that they don't even have to worry about how it was in the old shelter. This is a whole new opportunity. This is not
all
the
the
interface
fights that everybody got in. It made me realize that we got to have an outlet in every bed space. We got to have lockers in the bed space. We got to have showers. We got to have laundry. It's like we designed it all based on all of this stuff that you all went through that was really hard.
And even though I'm grateful that we don't have to use those benefits or the shelter. I'm grateful that you had an opportunity to make a better space for people, and so they wouldn't have to go through some of the things that our street generation, our generation did in that shelter.
This also makes it easier too because we know everybody that's moved here. Because instead of us, an individual moving to some apartment complex where we know nobody.
Right.
So that would be a lot more difficult because you don't know anybody. Here, we know I know a lot of people walking up and down the hallway, so that makes it easier to transition, feel like home. Because I know all these people, and it's kind of nice that we all kind of came here together, and that helped a lot. It really did. I mean, as far as me, I'm concerned, knowing everybody, not knowing everybody, but pretty much knowing who my neighbors are.
For once, I didn't feel like the new kid in school.
Right.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, and I have to give credit where credit is due that the city of Olympia and Lehigh and the county and the state and everybody saw the vision and did believe in it enough, because Interfaith Works could never have built this building without a partner. And so having Lehigh be able to do that with us has been massively important, because it takes a lot. It takes so many resources for an organization to be able to build a building like this and to have the experience to build a building like this. And so we never could have done it on our own. And so we're super grateful to all of our partners.
Like you did it in a year and with all your partners. And
I appreciate that.
We do appreciate it. And as much as we can give back, even if it's just, my wife loves to help out and vacuum our floor or just, pick up trash around us or make sure I love to give people doggy bags and whatever, just to help out, because this is our home for a minute. And I want it to be, I would like it to stay, if we care about it, then people will see how we care about it, and then hopefully they'll care about it, they'll see it.
And I just hope that the community has to realize that we're not all bad people.
Yeah.
No.
We're just really not. We're just some of it is. It might be mental. Mental health. It might be financial. But none of us would choose to be out here. Be out here being homeless, and then have to rely on a bunch of other people to be able to have a roof over my head. I would like to. If I could just buy my own home, that'd be sweet. But life's throwing some twists and turns, and sometimes you're just not ready for that twist and turn, and it knocks you down. Being able to pick yourself up and dust yourself off again, and start life again. That's the hardest part. I'm thinking it's going to be is just starting life again.
Yeah.
A person that's got I don't want to feel like. Or brag or gloat or any of that other. I got a place to live now. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to do everything I can to, portray us as good people to my community.
Yeah.
Even when I was homeless, I tried to pick up everywhere I went. It didn't matter if I made the mess. I tried to pick up. I tried to be part of the community. I tried to not leave a mess behind. You know, and I'm trying to get my other friends to, you know.
It's
think
kind of hard to
way
do
too.
that too, because then you got people looking, even if you're trying to pick up around a business or, you know, company or whatever, and you're trying to pick up around there, sometimes they don't always see what the good you're trying to do. And so they just like, they still have that label on you. And so it's like, I'm trying to do something good. Why aren't you noticing that?
Or like, what do you want? What are you really doing? Like, what are you looking for? Or, you know, whatever.
What do you want? Yeah. There's always something sinister behind it, but there's not. You know, I like my community. I like Olympia. I really do. I like to live. I want to live here.
Yeah.
You know, the only way I can live here is with help.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate the help that all you people out there that helped us. You know, I don't know if you're gonna watch this or not, but I really thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, and Meg speaks highly of all of you. Lehigh, I guess, for, you know, being able to make this all happen as well.
Just all those names on the wall
Yeah.
down in the shelter. They built this put this mural out there and it said everybody's names that was involved building this thing.
That's cool.
I mean,
That's cool.
That donated to it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
Oh, really?
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's
That's
hundreds of names down there.
oh yeah, probably I could look. Yeah. I think too that just again, like credit where credit's due is that you've mentioned Oscar and Hell, I'm not sure if the cameras can pick up their offices there, but there are supported housing case managers that are working with folks to get them in. And we've had just like a whole network of interfaith staff and Lehigh staff that have been hustling so hard to get IDs replaced, to work with coordinated entry with Community Action Council, to work with the Plum Street Village, and having folks move from Plum Street Village and the Unity Commons shelter into apartments here is also the first time since we opened our shelter beds in 2014 that there was like a large amount of movement in the shelter system
Exactly.
for folks who are unsheltered right now to be able to come inside. And so it's not only like all the amazing things you've shared with us today about your experience, but it's also, it is, I think, a hopeful thing that we can see less unsheltered homelessness in our community if we keep believing in like innovative and smart and well-designed buildings like this.
And just really the time and the effort and the really just knowing from the get, like, and using people, I'm not using, but acquiring help from the ones who are experiencing it. Like, you know, when you asked Lexi and I, like when we left and we had the van, like, what are some things that you would like to see if you had this if you were to help us make this happen?
Yeah.
And we gave you what we knew and what we had come from in Portland, and some people that were had really great ideas, and either they were getting fulfilled and they were getting, you know, on the chopping block because they created this building, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we don't need your help anymore. We're gonna make you go up, but we're gonna keep this building and all your design and your hard work. But you managed to be able to sustain like who you are and how important you are to interfaith and your program and your company that you helped make happen. And I'm grateful that you. I think it's one thing to see it on paper, but this is really happening. This is the first of what I've ever seen in my life. And I'm 46, and I've seen a lot of things. And you know, I came from a home. I wasn't in foster care, and I didn't grow up on the streets, but I chose to leave an abusive relationship or have that home and have all those things and be miserable. So it was that, and keep my job and be miserable, or to walk away with nothing except clothes on my back and my job. And that's what I chose to do. And I made it here with my wife, who's amazing, and we're healthy, and we have a happy, healthy dog, and it's possible. It is possible. It's possible if you want it, you can make it happen. And there are people who will support you. And Hal and Oscar, I mean, we knew them from the get. We were there when they got hired, and they were newbies, and we were staying in the shelter. And we've had many fights and brawls with them. I mean, not physical fights, but like altercations and words exchanged, disagreements. But we managed, even with all of that said and done. They didn't hold grudges, and we didn't hold grudges, and they followed us, and they tracked us down, and they were there when they said they found us.
Yeah.
They didn't let us go.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're grateful.
the least thing for Sadie was the big. I always bought that.
The leash thing?
Yeah, the leash
Yeah.
thing.
I know.
Can't leave your dog unattended.
No, it's crazy because I'll see they'll get on an elevator, we'll get off the elevator, and it's just perfect timing because I'm either having to make sure Bella's running into her apartment, or like all of a sudden Bella will see Sadie run by and they're like, "Oh, hi!"
Sadie's too quick for her though.
So it's great. It's great.
Well, thank you all. You all have been so generous, like with your time and just with your stories and your experience. And I think this has been amazing for me, but I think it's probably been really, really impactful for the community. And I think as we're kind of wrapping up, is there anything else that you wish the community better understood about people who've gone through what you've gone through?
That we're all still trying to become, I wouldn't necessarily say community, but like we're trying, not that we're trying either, that it takes a process time.
Yeah.
And for people like that have the thought that, you know, homeless people could be bad or whatever, like just give us a minute to, you know, let you see who we really are, and like that, you know, we're working on tier right now. We're trying to get back up there. So
Do you remember, hang on, sorry to cut you off. Do you remember when there was the van downtown for a while that had the sign in it that said, what did it say? It said, "Don't judge me, don't judge my whole life based on the chapter that you dropped in."
yes, I do actually.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I feel like that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot what you were saying.
Sorry.
I think I like what you were saying.
I just want them to realize
yeah.
that we're all Americans. I'm serious. I'm really proud about that. I mean, we all got to stick together as far as. I mean, we'll send an army maybe to rescue one person overseas. Spend millions of dollars to rescue that one person, but we can't spend that kind of money on people here that are here and need homes. You know, that's what we all got to start looking at it as we're all one community, and that goes. If the guy doesn't have a house, you do. Well, you're still in that community.
Yeah.
You know, that guy still wants to be part of this community. And the only thing is, he just doesn't have, you know, a stiction roof or mud over his head, you know. So
Yeah.
it's really important that we get everybody a place to live.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just too rich of a nation. We're just too rich to have anybody living in the gutter. I mean, there's just too much money in America not to house everybody.
Yeah.
And not to feel, and why, for the life of me, I don't know why somebody would even not want to do that. I mean, because there's a lot of people out here have mental health issues.
Right.
But they're also
I mean,
smart, and they
Exactly, they got their own little way of. It's just we're all going to come together as a community. I mean, and it's nationwide. That's just not Olympia, not Washington, but nationwide. Instead of trying to, you know, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican. And I'm so tired of that. I really am, and we need to get back to feeling like a community. As far as communities, we're all Americans.
I think
matter.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ben. I think people have to get outside of their fear factor. They have to go beyond what is comfortable to them, because, I mean, imagine, you know, say something were to happen and the money fell through, or your money fell through, and all of a sudden you realize, you know what, you got to get off that high horse, and now you're in a position where you don't have a home, or maybe you don't have the money to have all the comfortable, easy things that make you happy, what you think makes you happy, because when you don't have anything, whether it be electronics or a vehicle or whatever, and the warmest thing and the happiest thing is next to you, and that's your wife or your kids or your animals, and that's all you have, there will be a certain.
not the end.
It's not the end of the world. I mean, it's the best thing that you have, and that's the only things that should matter. It should be the people, not the things, because the things can come and go. But if you separate yourself from what you think are less than you, then you're never going to learn, and you're never going to grow, and you're never going to see that we are just as amazing people with being houseless as if we had a house and all the fabulous things that what people think go with making a house.
Yeah.
But to me, it's people. It's not the things inside the house.
It's really good, babe.
Thank you.
Wow.
That meant a lot.
Yeah, I can't think of a better way to close our interview today,
She said it.
our time together. Thank you all so much. You all
Thank you.
And
We
again,
really
I thank
appreciate
you
it.
the most.
We love you. We do.
I owe
Yeah,
you
so much
everything,
love.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And we
really
love
do.
you, Doug.
I mean, we love you guys too. I mean, I really do.
Yeah. We're
I'm all
family,
about the
yo.
love and being
Yeah.
kind to one another. I mean, I
Yes.
really am. I try to be. I mean,
And we love you. We got lots of history with you and Sadie and Minnie.
thank God for this one here because she
Yeah.
saved my life too. She really did. I mean, give me something to live for.
I know. I
Something
should have
to
brought
take care
Bella's
of.
picture at least. Be like, this is our dog Bella. She's a
can
handful.
post
She
it in
doesn't
the-
fit on their lap. She fits on the table.
Post it in the comments
Yeah.
of the
I
video.
don't think any
great.
of this would be standing if she was down here.
So for the community members who might not be as familiar, we have been coming to you live today from the second floor common space of Unity Commons. It's a 58-bed shelter on the bottom floor that's operated by Interfaith Works, and then 65 apartments of permanent supportive housing above it. That is, the building's owned by the Low Income Housing Institute, Lehigh, but they contract with Interfaith Works to provide all the support services here on site. So it's a really unique partnership and one that I think has been really important that both of our organizations can play to our strengths and be able to create a building that our esteemed, brilliant, beautiful guests can have their own apartments in. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all again. Please tune in 2 weeks. I think Corey's going to be doing another Lean in Olympia. Follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, at our website. And I hope that this conversation today can open some eyes and some hearts to what folks are really going through in our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
guys
See you
too
next time.
for, doing this for us too.
Yeah, we appreciate it very much.